Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Here to start the P's in the vinyl collection A to Z. So I'm just going to get through this because I'm up against the clock always, as I always am. So, let's see. Yeah, like I said, the P's are going to probably be, I mean, it might be 2 parts, but more likely be 3 parts. So, it's a lot of, specific artists that have a big collection. So my first part of the P's is Pain of Salvation, one of my all-time favorites. So here's my copy of The Perfect Element, which was issued, I want to say, in the mid-2010s. 2014, yeah, and included CD. One of my all-time favorite albums. It's, life-changing in some ways, My favorite being In the Flesh and the title track especially. But King of Loss, Reconciliation, Used. I like Ashes. Ashes is the one that, of course, sort of they got known for, and it has that industrial. Always reminded me of Nine Inch Nails, but it's still good. It's probably the weakest track on here. Idioglosia. It's just it's such a good record. It's dark, but it's the emotion is just over the top. So of course, then they issued this at the same time, and it must have been 2014. Remedy Lane, the follow-up, which fantastic record as well. A Trace of Blood, Beyond the Pale are my favorites. It's like stories of different relationships Daniel Gilmour had, apparently among. I mean, I don't know if it's purely nonfiction, but yeah, it's different. This includes Thorn Clown, actually, the bonus track, which wasn't on the standard version. So I'm noticing that when they have a double vinyl or whatever, they end up putting some of the extra tracks that got issued as like Japanese imports and stuff like that. But then this includes the CD as well. So, maybe I'll eventually do a series on Pain of Salvation. I should. Or I've been talking to Death by Unicorn. Maybe we'll end up doing like a discography ranking for them. I already did that. I already did the tier maker though for them. But anyway, that was just like a month ago, a month and a half ago. So I got 12.5, which I don't remember when I showed. This is the live acoustic. A lot of these are rearranged songs from the first 4 albums. A lot of stuff from Remedy Lane, but some of the other albums like Entropia. I don't have Entropia. I don't have 1 Hour by the Concrete Lake on vinyl, but I want those. But yeah, this was a terrific album when it came out. It was like a reinventing of a lot of these songs. They even referenced the Star Wars Death March in one part. But anyway, I mean, it's got Winning a War, Reconciliation, Dry of the Woods. Johan Hallgren does some of the vocals, and he stands out on that pretty well. So it's like a year later. That was like 2003, so I'm going, Remedy Lane was 2002. In 2004's rock opera of sorts. All their albums were, almost every Pain of Salvation album has been a concept album, but this is the most overt rock opera. This is B. Very different, yeah, very theatrical, but the music is a lot of it is pretty good, really good. Iter Impius is my favorite track, the 3rd to last track. It's all like in Latin titles, sort of about the history of mankind and the planet itself. But it's the characters, the story arcs, the good versus evil, sort of like greed and what kind of But Mr. Money, there's different parts of it I always remember. I mean, it's an album I think of as a whole as opposed to individual tracks for the most part. I mean, Vocary Day was the Messages to God, which actually my voice, I called in. I didn't end up on the album, but on the extras on the DVD I was. But anyway, 2004's B. So then 2007's, I just got this, back in May when I was in Amoeba Records out in Berkeley. Scarsick, sort of the Perfect Element Part 2. It's kind of a polarizing record, but as a whole, I still like this record, even though it's different. There's some rapping, and I don't know. It does kind of pale compared to the first Perfect Element, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have a lot of good music on it. Disco Queen, Miss Modern Mother Mary, Idiocracy, Flame to the Moth is a favorite. Enter In, the closing track. Yeah, I know, and it doesn't have Daniel's brother Christopher, and this is the last album with Johan Longo, the longtime drummer. Let's see. Alright, and let's see. And then I just have 2017's Comeback of a Sort. I mean, of a sort. In the Passing Light of Day. On a Tuesday, Tongue of God, Meaningless. Meaningless is a favorite. Taming of a Beast. and Reasons. Full Throttle Tribe's good. I mean, most of the songs I like on this, I just find that the last track on side D, the title track, I don't get as much from it as a lot of people think it's like the best song they ever did. This has driven largely by Ragnar's work. Some of the songs, like I think Reasons, he actually wrote with his previous band. I can't remember, but yeah, this is a terrific record from 2017. So that's my Pan Salvation collection. Someday maybe I'll just end up getting everything I can, everything that they have, because they don't really have any records I don't like. The Road Salts, and the last album, Panther, is a record that I still haven't really I haven't reached by, but I like parts of it, But they have a new record coming out. Maybe it'll get me to revisit that and get more. I listened to it last year once, and I was like, oh, this isn't. Still not getting the full taste of it, but as a whole, I don't hate Panther. It's more electronic, but I mean, I want to get for sure those first two records if I can, Entropia and 1 Hour by the Concrete Lake, and then I probably would go for if I can find for a reasonable price the Road Salts as well. So this is an album from extreme metal band Pain and Exile, very like metalcore, progressive metalcore. This is called The Ordeal. It came out, there were only 50 of these, I think. Wow, there were just very few. It came out in like 2014. Their debut EP, or was their second EP actually, was fantastic. I have it on CD, and there's a little bit of rapping in it, or hip hop and rapping, but oh man, some of the textures and the compositions were great. This record, I bought sort of in confidence that it was going to be as good, if not better, than that EP. I can't even remember the name of it. I have a T-shirt with the title, and it was kind of I don't say I call it forgettable, but I'm not sure I'm going to hold on to this. The fact that they signed it and stuff, but because that was a band definitely where I thought they had a ton of potential, and then I don't know if they're even a band anymore. But it's nice that I got them to sign this and stuff, but. It's too bad or whatever, but they do have the one EP. A little bit like Paper Route. Paper Route has one EP that's just really good, but the full lengths they've released I didn't like. So okay, moving on, the Peas, the start of the Peas. I have two albums from Alan Parsons or Alan Parsons Project. I think that they're both from Alan Parsons Project. I know there's a difference. I didn't understand. I saw them live finally. It's like March or April of this past year. Understanding that, because I have one of his albums from the early 90s. It wasn't Alan Parsons Project. It was just Alan Parsons. So I have iRobot. I got it for 50 cents on a clearance, and I have the Tales of Mystery and Imagination, the Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, both of these records don't have anything that really was like massive hits for radio. They were more proggy. But and I paid whatever I paid, $1.50 for the tube for both of them. So late 70s, mid to late 70s. I think one might be a promo. Notice this album has been previously released in a jacket bearing different artwork. Of course, of course he worked on Dark Side of the Moon and worked with Steven Wilson. He's great. Games people play. He's written a lot of songs that I like. Eye in the Sky. But anyway, yeah, these are just the two. I've spent very little time, I'll confess, listening to them back. I wanted to hear. I think it was iRobot was the one with the one after that. He was going to be touring for, and then he changed it. The one the album with Eye in the Sky. Anyway, yeah, 70. Yeah, this was 76. Maybe it was his debut album, the Edgar Allan Poe, the Mr. Imagination album, but. And then iRobot came out in 77 or 70. I think it was 77. 77, so prolific guy. Alright, so I just talked about this like a month ago when I got this at a garage sale. I paid a little more than I would have liked probably, but I think it might have been on sale though. But Pentangle's Cruel Sister, the sort of English folk with some slightly progressive leanings, and I listened to this. Jack Orion's the real key track and the title track. The first three songs, as I mentioned in a previous video, are just kind of barren, just kind of folk, singer-songwriter folk tracks for the most part. They're more stripped down, but those other two are at least you kind of get your money's worth. Because I don't know how long that Jack Orion track. It's like 15 minutes. They use chamber instruments, and this is like 1970, I think. But anyway, I need to get more into Fairport Convention, but Pentangle as well. But you know, I'm not sure if this would be my favorite if I heard more of their music, because I've always been meaning to. I mean, the Renaissance fan to me, which I'm going to show Renaissance pretty soon here, always wanted to like them too. But so here are my 2 records from the great Pepe Deluxe, who are working on a new record. They just listened to like the masters of their new record, so it's probably going to come out next year sometime in 2024. But this is 2012's Queen of the Wave, epic masterpiece, pop opera. Every track is great. I mean, better than the sum of its parts in so many ways. Retro sounding, Dick Dale, surf guitar rock, a lot of textures, vocal harmony, the different vocalists. One sounds a little like Frank Sinatra on the, you know, that song Riders on the First Ark, The Storm. It's just, oh, they're so good. But I had a whole video on them, you know. So, and then this is 2021's sort of return after 9 years. They, you know, they use these vintage instruments they wait years to get access to. This was Phantom Cabinet Volume 1. I don't know if Phantom Cabinet Volume 2 is going to be coming out next year. That's the record they're listening to. But General Deluxe, is it Halls of Calavella, Fire Up the Crimson Lion. Those were the other kind of go-tos. And Morning Beautiful is another one. Yeah, I don't like this album as much as Queen of the Waves, but I'd say it's pretty close to their other records. They have 3 other records that I've spent various amounts of times with. I don't know if they'll ever come on vinyl. I would hope they would, but they're kind of audiophiles. You think they would want to. So, but that was 2021's Phantom Cabinet Volume 1. So let's see here. I got 2 more here in this first part of the P's. This is Oscar Peterson and Stefan Grappelli, another record that was found at Down in the Valley. We paid $8 for it back in. This was originally, you know, sold to Down in the Valley, the store, in 2002. But we got it in 2003, I believe. This is, it's just Peterson Grappelli. I don't know if this is a compilation or a live. I thought it was live. But maybe they just worked together in the studio and did some collaborations. I don't know if they did standards. Kenny Clark, Niels Henning, Orsted Peterson with a D. So I don't think he's related to Oscar. But, you know, Oscar is a renowned jazz pianist, and Stefan Grappelli was a violinist who, you know, influenced by Django Reinhardt among others. But yeah, this came out, I think it was 73? Yeah, 73 as I said. So, double album. And so here's my one record here from original Genesis guitarist Anthony Phillips. Probably his most well-known album, The Geese and the Ghost, which I haven't listened to. Again, another record I listened to many years ago when I was diving into like the Genesis connected bands and stuff. But I remember it's very classical influence, very folk. It's similar to the stuff off, you know, most of it's like the stuff from the 70s at least were similar to the stuff from Trespass, which is one of my favorite Genesis albums. John Hackett, Steve's brother's actually on this too, and interesting. And it has Jack Lancaster of, you know, Brand X, who played on Marscape. So it's not without its sort of roster of other talents. Phil Collins and Mike Rutherford also play on it. So, yeah, I mean, I've probably slept on a lot of Anthony Phillips, you know, stuff, but it came out in, was it 77, so it was past the sort of, you know, even after Gabriel already left that. But he put out records before that. I don't know how many albums. I know he couldn't perform live because of his stage fright and all this stuff, but he just continued to compose and record music. So, anyway, that's it for the beginning of the piece. Like I said, there's quite a lot. There's got to be 25, 30, 35 records still left to go over. But thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you next time.